Hello, I am Vilma Tubutienė from NGO Social Innovation Center, Lithuania. Today, I will present Module C4, Investment Priority for Social Enterprises in Structural Funds. This module provides information about the regulations on structural funds, which includes an investment priority for the support for social enterprises. For this module, we used several official websites. That was official website of European Commission, official website of European Union, website of Platform for Advisory Services on Financial Instruments under the European Structural and Investment Funds, website of Social Entrepreneurship Network, website of European Economics and Social Committee, as well two guidances from European Commission website, guidance for beneficiaries of European Structural and Investment Funds related Euro instruments, and beginner's guide to EU funding. So today we will cover 5 main topics. What are the structural funds? The possibility get some funding from structural funds for social enterprises. European structural and investment funds focus for the period of 2014-2020, how structural funds responds to the needs of my country, and what benefits, together with obligations, get the user of the support from the structural funds. The main information or the wide information you can find in the learning material that is added to this presentation. So let's start. Regional policy targets all regions and cities in the European Union in order to support job creation, business competitiveness, economic growth, sustainable development, and improve citizens' quality of life. Regional policy is delivered through main funds: European Regional Development Fund, Cohesion Fund, European Social Fund, European Agricultural Fund, European Maritime and Fisheries Fund, and they make the European Structural and Investment Funds. Regional policy provides the necessary investment framework to meet the goals of the Europe 2020 strategy for smart, sustainable, and inclusive growth in the European Union. So, investments of regional policy helps to deliver many EU policy objectives and complements EU policies such as those dealing with education, employment, energy, the environment, the single market, research, and innovation. With a huge budget for 2040-20, EU structural funds are the main financial instrument for the implementation of the EU cohesion policy, which aims to reduce the economics and social disparities between Europe's regions. What funding opportunities are for various beneficiaries? The Europe structural funds will deliver a critical mass of investment in key EU priority areas to respond to the needs of the real economy by supporting job creation and by getting the European economy growth again in a sustainable way. What beneficiaries could be? Small business, or small enterprises can obtain EU funding through grants, loans, and guarantees. Non-governmental and civil society organizations may be eligible for funding provided they are active in EU policy areas and on a non-profit basis. Young people have two main types of funding through education and training that provides study opportunities through Erasmus Plus and through youth as funding of projects with encourage civic involvement, volunteer work, and a broader multicultural outlook. As well, there are possibilities for researchers, farmers, and rural business. So the structural funds are an important component of the ecosystem within which social enterprises can make their full contribution to European prosperity and cohesion. Two main funds are eligible in this area. European Social Fund, or EFEB, aims at enhancing employment and fair life opportunities for all. It's European Union's main tool for helping people to get a job or better job, integrating disadvantaged people into society, and ensuring fairer life opportunities for all. The purpose of EFEB is to give European citizens better job prospects and to help them succeed in their chosen careers. European Regional Development Fund, or ERDF, contributes to smart, sustainable and inclusive growth, as well as aims to reinforce economic, social and territorial cohesion in EU regions and cities. The EU Structural and Investment Funds is actively supporting the establishment of the social enterprises as a source of jobs, in particular for groups of people who find it difficult to get work for a variety of reasons. Ability of social enterprises to create decent employment, social inclusion and growth, and to promote an innovative and entrepreneurial and socially responsible Europe is explicitly recognized by the inclusion of specific investment priorities in the structural funds. This support takes many forms. It can involve management training, offering skills in human resources, employment law, health and safety. It can include the specific technical skills and enterprise needs, and the EFEB as well support enterprises in finding financial support for their activities and in ensuring these are sustainable for the long term. For example, the European Commission's Social Business Initiative defines a social business as a social economy operator with the main objective of achieving a social impact rather than generating profits for its owners or members. The initiative is implemented in close partnership with stakeholders in the sector and EU countries. The plan contained 11 priority measures organized around three main themes. The first, making it easier for social enterprises to obtain funding. Team 2, increasing the visibility of social entrepreneurship. Team 3, making the legal environment friendlier for social enterprises. All 11 actions cover most, if not all, of the crucial levers of mainstreaming social enterprises: public investment through the European Structural and Investment Funds and progress, public procurement, private investments, research, for example, a mapping study and framework program projects, impact measurement, legal forms, and visibility. By supporting the Europe 2020 strategy, the structural investment funds help reduce the varying levels of development in regions across the Europe. And in order to maximize their EFEB's impact, 11 thematic objectives, or TO, are outlined in the regulations. Investment from ERDF will support all 11 objectives, but from first to fourth are the main priorities for investment. For the SFE, the main priorities are from 8 to 11. The fund also supports first and fourth priorities. The SFE focuses on a limited number of priorities in order to make a real impact in addressing member states' key challenges, which are employment, with a budget over 30 billion, social inclusion, with very high budget, education, as you could see, euro 26 billion, and institutional capacity building. Enhancement of sustainable high-level employment in member states is underlined in those mentioned thematic objectives, and mainly in 8 thematic objective: promoting sustainable and quality employment and supporting labor mobility. The agenda of new skills for new jobs is one of the main Commission initiatives that will help the EU reach its employment target for 2020. It presents a set of concrete actions. Investment will be made in an active labor market policy, self-employment, labor market institutions, active and healthy aging, youth employment, and other measures designed to boost employment and labor mobility. Linked to its contribution in the area of social inclusion, EU cohesion policy supports labor market reforms that promote equal opportunities for all, in particular women, young and old workers, and ethnic minorities. Under this thematic objective, member states should focus on achieving their national employment targets by using EFEB to support relevant policies. Social inclusion. The impact on social inclusion in member states is planned to make by implementing thematical objective 9, promoting social inclusion, combating poverty and any discrimination. EU cohesion policy supports the social inclusion of people with disabilities, younger and older workers, low-skilled workers, migrants and ethnic minorities such as the Roma, people who live in deprived areas, and women in the labor market. It supports the Europe 2020 strategy, which aims to lift at least 20 million people out of the risk of poverty. In 2040 to 2020, the SFE will be the main cohesion policy fund supporting social inclusion. In addition to the measures financed by SFE, the RDF supports the integration and participation of disadvantaged groups through various measures. Employment is the most effective way of giving people independence, financial security, and a sense of belonging. The SFE finances many thousands of the projects to help people in difficulties and those from disadvantaged groups to get skills, to get jobs, and have the same opportunities as others do. The next is education. The education and training is the 10th priority of cohesion policy. Investing in education, training and vocational training for skills and lifelong learning. EU cohesion policy invests in people's skills and competences, which are crucial for ensuring the long-term competitiveness of Europe. It is also key for promoting social cohesion, helping all citizens to benefit from the more and better jobs on offer. European Social Fund and the European Regional Development Fund support activities which help to modernize education and training system, including investments in educational infrastructure, reduce early school leaving, promote better access to good quality education for all, from the primary to the tertiary level, enhance access to lifelong learning, and strengthen vocational education and training systems. and the institutional capacity building. In the administration and judiciary is supported by SFE and RDFE in order to create institutions which are stable, predictable, flexible, enough to react to the many societal challenges, open for dialogue with the public, able to introduce new policy solutions and deliver better services. The investment in human capital of the public sector is oriented towards a more efficient organizational processes, modern management, motivated and skilled civil servants in the sector. In addition, the SFE will support capacity building across all types of regions by enhancing the capacity of stakeholders and developing sectorial and territorial pacts in the employment, social inclusion, health, and educational domains at all territorial levels. Regional policy has a strong impact in many fields. Its investments help to deliver many EU policy objectives and complements EU policies in different areas. It touches all parts of EU and at all levels, from EU-wide and national scale to Europe's regions and local communities. It's a part of EU cohesion policy, the European Union's strategy to promote and support the overall harmonious development of its member states and regions. The policy is implemented by national and regional bodies in partnership with the European Commission. The bulk of cohesion policy funding is concentrated on less developed European countries and regions in order to help them to catch up and to reduce the economics, social and territorial disparities that still exist in EU. Member states are responsible for managing programs that are supported by cohesion policy. A designated managing authority provides information on the program, selects project, and monitors implementation. Before applying for a grant, it is necessary to check the European operational programs in your region. Your project application must meet the selection criteria and investment priorities of applicants' regional program. What types of funding are available? There are several of them. For example, grants. Grant is funding for projects contributing to EU policies. Grants may be awarded in different fields, from research or education to humanitarian aids. Grants are awarded to private and public organizations and exceptionally to individuals. Those are mainly awarded through calls or for proposals, which are listed in the work program. Subsidies and other types of funding are managed directly by EU national governments, not by European Commission. Prizes are rewards to winners of contracts from one of the programs, for example, Horizon 2020. Public contracts, loans, guarantees and equity as well are available. How to apply to a grant, what procedures should we obtain, and what rules should we observe. Before applying, organizations seeking EU funding should identify the program and the body managing it. The European Commission's departments and agencies, as well as the regional and national managing authorities, regularly publish information about the funding opportunities they offer. Eligibility criteria are applied for each funding program, and more detailed criteria are outlined at the level of the individual call. Funding is usually granted to projects, so you need to develop a project to be eligible. Most calls require applicants to participate in projects with others in a consortium. Science grants cover a very diverse range of fields. The specific conditions that need to be fulfilled vary from one field to another. It is therefore important to consult carefully the rules of each grant program. All applications are examined and evaluated on the basis of criteria that have clearly been announced in the calls for proposals. While ensuring equal treatment, candidates are individually informed of the final decision concerning their proposal. Practical information about grant management. Light documentation requirements apply to small grants. Beneficiary organization must part finance their project from their own resources, revenue from the project or contributions from other donors, that calls co-financing. The obtained significant payments at the outset of the project, pre-financing. Certain beneficiary organizations, such as NGOs, may be required to provide financial guarantees. Organizations provide an audit report in applying for grants of 50,000 or more for specific projects, or for grants of 100,000 or more to finance their operating costs. Applicants are given a clear indication of the likely time needed to evaluate their proposal and to finalize the agreement. The submission procedure can be divided into two separate stages, making it possible to reject proposals which have no chance of success at an early stage on the basis of a short description of the project. Applicants thus need to prepare full proposal only if they have a chance of obtaining a grant. Simple rules govern purchases made by beneficiaries to implement their project. For purchases below 60,000 euros, beneficiaries must adhere to two basic principles: sound financial management and no conflicts of interests. So there are some practical rules or principles apply in every case. Grants are form of complementary financing. The EU does not finance projects up to 100%. Only projects taking place outside the European Union have the possibility to be financed in full. Enable a given operation to break even financially and cannot lead to a profit for their beneficiaries. Cannot be awarded retroactively for actions that are already completed. Only one grant may be awarded for the same action. The Commission's departments publish call for proposals on their internet sites. The calls for proposals invite candidates to present within a given deadline a proposal for action that corresponds to the objectives pursued and fulfills the required conditions. These call for proposals can also be published in the official journal of the Europe Union. The submission procedure can be divided into two separate stages, making it possible to reject proposals. Since about 80% of EU grants funding is managed by EU countries themselves, they have a big share of the responsibility for how this money is spent. EU countries have to put in place effective and efficient internal control systems and carry out the necessary checks on EU funding under their management. Each country is required to provide the Commission with information of how it has implemented the rules by submitting annually its accounts, a management declaration, a summary of audits and checks carried out, and an independent audit option. So, grant agreements may need to be amended if there are any changes to its terms and conditions. It is important to keep records and other supporting documentation to prove the proper implementation. It may also be required to keep records on the eligible costs and corresponding actions. So, checking the proper implementation and financial audits on the accounts of the beneficiary to verify the eligible costs incurred. So the EU's accounts are based on accurate accounting standards, modern and transparent accounting systems. I wish you to have a good idea for your project and to find the appropriate funding opportunities and to have nice and good strategy to your social enterprise. Thank you for your attention and bye until the next webinar. All the best.